Noel Lim is the founder and CEO of Anika Legal, a social enterprise legal service with a vision of a world where everybody can access justice. Anika Legal provides free legal support that enables renters to maintain safe housing. Those free services are supported by law students enrolled in university internship programs and funded by university law schools. The organisation in 2024-25 has supported over 1,100 vulnerable Australians in staying in safe and secure homes through providing free legal services and liaising on their behalf with various government departments. Noel Lim was a law student when he stumbled across 80,000 hours, a global movement asking people to consider the hours they work as their greatest opportunity to improve the world. Noel immediately dedicated his 80,000 hours to doing the most good possible. He knew that each year more than 1 million Australians are left to handle legal problems on their own because they can't afford a lawyer but aren't eligible for legal aid. So Noel and some friends launched Anika Legal, a free online legal service designed to meet that need. The not-for-profit is a modern and extremely effective form of legal services and aid. The service also provides practical experience for law students through an internship program supervised by lawyers and funded by the universities. After 4 years, Anika has 6 staff and 100 volunteers providing services Australia-wide. Noel's vision is global, not national, and for a world in which everybody can access justice. Anika Legal has won a number of awards under his leadership, including the Australian Legal Technology Association Social Impact Award, a finalist for the Premier's Sustainability Award, 2 Client Choice Awards for Startup of the Year in 2019 and 2020, the Legal Tech Breakthrough Online Legal Services Platform of the Year in 2020, runner-up in the Global Legal Hackathon 2018, nominated Young Victorian, the Westpac Social Change Fellow. The winner of the Victoria Day Award for Public and Community Service, the Victorian of the Year, is Noel Lim.
If you've met me in the last 7 years, whether it's in a formal setting or maybe you saw me on the news, you might recognise this suit that I'm wearing. When I started Anika, I was working full-time for free, and everything that I had was going into Anika. And that meant that I didn't have money to buy a new suit. But I knew that my youngest brother had some suit pants he found at an op shop, and my middle brother had a pretty nice suit jacket as well. So the solution was very simple. I wore those to my formal events and important meetings. And it just worked, you know. We had a few events a year, 3 brothers, 1 suit. It did the job. We definitely didn't need a suit each. And that's just how I was raised. My family was very resourceful. We were passionate about efficiency. We had a 3-tiered plastic bag system where the good ones were for storing things like clean clothes. We had the medium ones for everyday use, and then we also had the most mangled ones and the plastic bags that sliced bread comes in. That was for the bin liners. And so we had a similar approach with clothes. My younger brothers were the ones with the fashion sense in the family. They'd go to the op shops, find the cool stuff and wear it. After a few years, they'd be done with it and say, who else wants this? At that point, I'm usually like, yeah, I'll wear that. And I'd take that, wear it for a few years. When I was done with it, that usually meant that my mum was ready for them. And after my mum was done with them, then it was onto my dad. And when Dad was done with them, then it had been long enough that fashion trends had changed, they were cool again, and they could go back to my youngest brothers. My family moved from Singapore to Australia when I was 6. And my family, like so many immigrant families, we needed to be super resourceful. We learned that before asking for more, we should think about what we already have, what's already on the table that could solve our problem. And as immigrants, these are the sorts of things that we had to do to buy a home, which my parents did. It's the home that my mum and dad still live in, even though my brothers and I have long since moved out. And they don't need all the space, it's way too big. The heating bills are ridiculous. But Dad refuses to move. Because for him, it's not about that stuff. For him, it's home. It's where we moved to for a better life. It's where my brothers and I grew up. And it's where we still eat dinner every Sunday together. For Dad, you can't put a price on home. And that was what gave me and my brothers the stability to thrive. Everyone deserves a home. But right now, we're in a housing crisis. And every time I work with a renter who is being deprived of a safe home, it breaks my heart. One client in particular stands out to me. Her name's Alina, and she told me that the worst part of her day was the morning, because she would go to her baby's room and see her baby's breath fog up in the morning cold. This client's name is Alina. She was a single mother, and she was living in a rental home that was just falling down around her. There were gaps in the walls, holes in the floorboards, and it meant that all winter round her place was freezing. And she had done the right thing. She had called and texted and emailed the agent to fix the freezing home, but she was ignored. And that put Alina in an impossible situation. She had to choose whether she would run the heater all night to keep her baby warm, knowing that she wouldn't be able to pay those heating bills, or she could let her baby freeze. Of course she ran the heater. Every parent would. But then the heating bills started piling up. She fell behind on rent. And then that agent who was previously ignoring her started calling her almost daily, threatening to evict her. Alina had legal rights to live in a safe home that was well maintained. But that didn't matter, because she couldn't afford a lawyer to enforce those rights, and the free tenancy services, they're so overwhelmed by demand. In Victoria, at best, it's 1 in 6 renters that get the legal support that they need to enforce their rights. There just aren't nearly enough resources to go around. And when we hear these stories, we hear 1 in 6, we feel stuck, because it feels unsolvable. But I believe that real change is possible. And not only possible, I believe that it's already at hand. And the reason is simple. We're finally doing more with what we already have. We're using what's already on the table to solve our problems, and we're tapping into what I think are as the 3 levers to help us do that. That's people, technology, and money. But before I tell you about that, let me show you how Anika works. At Anika, we saw 3 problems. There were millions of renters like Alina who were trapped in impossible situations, who couldn't get the legal support that they needed. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of law students, desperate for real-world experience in solving legal problems. And at the same time, their universities, they're desperately trying to provide that experience to their law students, but every time they get placed at a law firm, they spend a lot of their time unjamming printers or getting coffees. Anika connects these needs. We keep renters housed by connecting them with legal support from our qualified lawyers and these law students. The universities pay Anika to provide this hands-on training to their law students, and those law students get invaluable experience which sets them up for a successful career and builds a socially conscious legal profession. Now, imagine that. It's win-win-win, and that's what I mean by using what's already on the table to solve these problems. We did with Anika what my family did with clothing and plastic bags. We harnessed untapped resources, these students, lawyers, universities, to create an elegant solution that created value for everyone involved. And that's what I call radical resourcefulness. And now imagine applying that kind of thinking to all of the other unsolvable problems. There's never been a better time for this approach than right now, because there's more on the table than ever before, and new ways of harnessing those people, technology, and money. And that's why I believe solving problems like this, it's not only possible, it's within reach. So lever 1 is people. After COVID, the world's changed. People want purpose. People want to contribute. And that's what, and And that's what Anika's tapped into. We were built by volunteers. I had a volunteer named Ed who worked 70-hour weeks at his day job. I felt terrible giving him extra Anika work. And when I told him that, he said, "No, please give me this work. This is the work that gives me the energy to do my long hours." You know, that is what purposeful work energize people. And that's what Anika has. It has 6 employees, but we have 100 volunteers, and that's on top of the law student interns who are doing the operations and marketing and technology. Lever 2 is technology, the tech platform that makes Anika possible, and what we call Clark. This was built by a volunteer software developer named Matt, and I didn't think he could do it. And actually, he told me, I told him it was a bad idea, but he convinced me to let him try. And what he built was a piece of software that allows one lawyer to supervise up to 90 students at one time. And from this, we found there's even more on the table. We found that this piece of software allows us to capture really important data from our clients, got data that showed that renters were being exploited out of their bond money, data that we took to the government and who committed to changing the laws 4 months later so that this would never happen again. This is what happens when you combine people power and technology. And of course, lever 3 is money. You need money to harness what's unused on the table. That's the people, the technology. And now more than ever, we're seeing organisations do this the right way. The Sydney Myer Fund gave us 5 years of untied funding to do what we thought was best, to find new ways of harnessing these resources. RMIT have just partnered with us to set up the first virtual legal clinic. These are organisations using their money to back radical resourcefulness and solve our biggest problems. And that's why real change has never been more possible, and why it's waiting for us to stop asking, how do we get more? And start asking, how do we better use what we have? That's when big solutions to big problems emerge. Imagine what other problems we could fix if we applied a radically resourceful approach. So if that vision speaks to you, if you want to chat or work with us, please, I would love to talk, because real change is happening right now, and it starts by doing more with what we already have. So thank you.